Greetings, hunters! In this video, we'll talk about the hunting horn's new move, the offset melody. This new move allows hunters to finally be able to do a counterattack by way of playing a specific song just before an enemy's attack lands on you. A successful offset melody would result in good damage, an enemy stagger, and some flashy style points, if that is to your liking. Before we continue though, let me show you two clips of the offset melody being used. What's interesting is that one of these clips shows the correct way of using the offset melody, while the other one shows an incorrect one. Head on over to the comment section and try to guess which one is which. Alright, let's begin. In order to do the offset melody, the hunter must input 4 notes in exact order, namely yellow, red, yellow, white. There are many ways to do this, but my personal favorite 3 methods are the following. The first one is started with an overhead smash, wherein you buffer a second note by holding down circle when the weapon is right behind your hunter's head. You follow it up with a triangle plus circle hilt stab, and then finish with either a forward slam or a left swing. The other method is by starting with a turnaround back slam, followed by a double note flourish where you buffer a yellow note on the second swing by holding triangle plus circle. Then you finish with a back triangle hilt stab. The last method is arguably the fastest one, but also the most difficult to pull off because of what seems to be a button input bug in the beta build. Mainly you do an echo bubble and input triangle plus circle, followed by circle, followed by another triangle plus circle. And then you either do a forward slam or a left swing. The reason why this is so hard to pull off is because the button prompt for triangle plus circle while doing an echo bubble is frame perfect to a fault. The only way I can consistently do this is by using Steam input, and I bound one of my controller buttons to press both triangle and circle at the same time. This may not work for console players, and this is only available for Steam users, so I hope this gets fixed in the final release of the game. Now, let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of the offset melody. Primarily, the offset melody is the only hunting horn move that can counterattack enemies and stagger them. Though it does come with a caveat that not all monster moves can actually be countered. More on that later. Next, the offset melody gives you hyper armor for the whole duration of the attack animation. Hyper armor is a type of defensive state where your hunter cannot be flinched nor knocked down by the monster's attacks, other than perhaps grabs and special moves. You do still take damage, but you take it at a significantly reduced amount. And of course, the offset melody can be held in place for quite a duration of time. This can come in useful in situations where you want to give more flexibility in timing your counterattack. For its weaknesses, the offset melody can only be used once per offset melody song stored. When you've used up an offset melody, whether you hit or miss the enemy, the song is completely used up and you'll need to play the notes all over again. Another glaring weakness is that the offset melody has a very long wind-up animation. Upon inputting the button command for the offset melody, your hunter does a backflip before doing the counterattack itself, which would make timing a bit tricky. Lastly, the offset melody always requires 4 notes to be played prior to it becoming available for use. So not only are you keeping track of your songs and buffs for other things, but you'll also need to keep track of your offset melody availability. This could become overwhelming for some players. Now, let's take these strengths and weaknesses and formulate a proper strategy by taking these into consideration. Because offset melodies are one use only and need 4 notes to prepare, we should only use this move when absolutely necessary. Examples of unnecessary uses would be using the offset melody when the monster is already incapacitated, when the monster is too far away, or when you know you don't have enough time to do so. Next, and still on topic, because the offset melody has a long wind-up animation, you should not treat the move as an emergency escape button. 9 times out of 10, if you try to do so, you will fail. One should always take note that for every instance a hunter is able to do an offset melody to try and evade an enemy's move, a quicker and more efficient dodge roll can just be done instead. Which brings us to the next point. One must only use the offset melody in an offensive manner. Yes, you've heard that right. The offset melody, one of the hunting horn's very few defensive tools, must only be used offensively. This will be much clearer later when I show you a few examples. And lastly, the offset melody should only be used on certain specific moves. And now comes the big question. When should I be using the offset melody? But I guess a better question would be, what move should I use the offset melody on? So rule number 1, for every monster, pick one move to learn to counter, and one move only. Rule number 2, learn which moves can never be countered. In general, projectiles, elemental attacks, strong slams, strong charges, strong pounces, grabs, and special attacks cannot be countered. Rule number 3, look for moves with easy tells and long windups. Examples are Balahara's sideways head swipe, Gypseros's charge, Doshaguma's claw slam, Chatacabra's pounce, Raidao's flying wing strike, and also Artful's flying wing strike. Rule number 4. Learn which moves are not worth countering. Some moves may be countered but are better left uncountered. These could be punished with a performance instead, and the damage output would be better, much more so. An example of this would be Raidao's ground wing slash, which opens him up to a performance to encore combo, a much better option than using one of your offset melodies. Rule number 5. Do not try to predict the monster's move. If you recall, this clip is one of the 2 clips I've shown at the beginning of this video. And if you've already caught on, this is actually the incorrect method of doing the offset melody attack. The reason for this is that in this example, you can see me doing an offset melody when I know it's already too late to counterattack this current move. Instead, what I did here was to try and hope for the best and see what Raidao's next move would be. In this case, I got lucky, and it actually worked out in my favor. But in most cases, you won't get lucky, and you'll end up either using your offset melody for nothing, or worse yet, you could even outright faint if the attack is big enough. This may be the last and final rule, but this is definitely the most important one. Overcommitting will set you up for failure. And before you misunderstand, I am not talking about overcommitting to your offset melody. Rather, I am referring to every other move other than your offset melody itself. The key to being able to successfully read a monster's move and execute the offset melody properly is for your hunter to be in either a neutral state or in an animation recovery state, or in other words, anything that doesn't have you locked in an attack animation. Let's take the second clip from the beginning as an example. Here you can see me playing it safe by only doing one performance before going for the encore. By doing so, I've set myself up to be in a neutral state when Artful has already recovered from the focus strike knockdown. Rather than pushing my luck and going for 2 performances plus an encore, I chose to play it safe and be ready. Because of that, I was able to do a proper counterattack on Artful accordingly. Take note that even if Artful wasn't staggered by the offset melody, this is still deemed a successful counterattack because simply you dealt damage and you didn't get damaged yourself. The only reason Artful wasn't staggered by the counter is that I actually just did another counter on him a few minutes ago, and he was still not within the counter threshold which would activate the stagger. So, as always, practice, experience, and knowledge are key to becoming better at pulling off the offset melody. When Monster Hunter Wilds fully releases at the end of this month, I plan to do a more comprehensive guide on which moves can be countered for all monsters on release. If time will permit me, of course. Thank you once again for taking time to watch my videos. I really appreciate the kind words and support from the community, and it does mean a lot to me. As always, hunters, happy hunting!